Well, welcome. Today I have Joanne in the studio, and we've been in here before talking,
yeah.
and you have shared about a season in your life that had been very difficult. She lost her son, her daughter-in-law, and her two precious grandkids in a tragic accident a few years ago. And so I wanted to have Joanne come back in today, and we're going to talk today about some healthy things you can do while you're grieving.
Right.
Because, Joanne, how many years ago did this sad event happen?
2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago.
A little over 2 years. And so you're still grieving.
Oh, yeah.
Grieving doesn't stop, right?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, so it may not be as intense all the
No,
time,
it
right?
isn't. Right. No.
Okay.
It lessens up, and like we talked about before, I think it's the grief bursts.
Yes.
Something that reminds you of them, and there you are on the floor again. But it does let up.
Yeah.
It does.
Well, so today what we thought would be good to talk about is you wanted to share what are some things people can do. People that are watching this video that are struggling with grief, they're still trying to understand or get a hold of what's happened, the loss they've experienced. Some practical, good, productive things they could do while they grieve.
Right.
That would be healthy for them as they move through it. So Joe, why don't you give us one thing that you do currently or did back then when it was had just happened, something that you did that was really helpful to you while you were grieving?
I just kept on journaling, but it took on a whole new aspect because I journaled about why it happened and wrote about some of the most scariest parts of the events. But getting it out on paper, it was such. It is so healing, and without fear of anybody judging you.
Yeah, it was just your thoughts out on a piece of
Right.
paper.
Right. I could say anything, and I knew it was a safe place to put all those thoughts.
That's good. And you could share them if you wanted to, but you didn't have to share them. You knew it was safe.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good. So journaling has been an important part for you. Okay, so what about, one of the things you talked about was talking about your loved ones. Why don't you share a little bit about that?
Well, the first year, I loved to talk about Russell and Shauna and Tylee and Blake and the memories. If we were doing something and I remembered a story, I'd say, "Oh yeah, Russell and I," or Tylee and I, or and just sharing those stories. It kept their memory alive, and it kept. I kept saying their name. I loved when people would say their name.
And hearing other people talk to you, right?
Oh gosh,
I remember seeing them. Or
Yes.
Because like what you just said, it keeps their memory alive.
Right.
Right.
And there were so many stories from his friends and even his cousins that they would share stories with Russell and about Russell, and it would just make me laugh. And I didn't know that. And so for the first year, just talking and friends sharing back.
Sharing memories.
Was
Yeah, because I think that's
exciting.
good, Joe, to think about. For some people, maybe you're like, if I just don't talk about them, if I don't utter their name, then maybe the pain of grief and loss will go away.
Yes.
But what I'm hearing you say is that was actually brought you comfort to say their
Yes.
name, to have other people say their name, and to remember great stories and memories about them.
Absolutely. It was like the elephant in the room. Some people would come and visit and not mention their name once, and that was hurtful because I wanted to hear their name. Tell me something you knew about any of them. And even hearing you earlier say Russell's name, my heart just jumps for joy.
Right.
It just keeps them alive.
Right.
Keeps them alive.
That's good. So to journal, to talk, to share memories is really good. Something else you talked about was painting. Is that like to find a hobby? Maybe painting's not for everyone,
Right.
but what do you do with painting?
I love to take pictures of nature, and painting is very calming to me. And it just helps me stop and think about this beautiful world that we still live in. if I paint a hummingbird, I have memories
Right.
of hummingbirds. If I paint a picture of a beautiful lake, I can remember memories that we shared with our kids at the lake, and even as teenagers, Russell doing the jet ski with us and the camping. So, and drawing, just so relaxing.
So it sounds like it's something like find a hobby or something that either gets your mind productive and thinking about something beautiful and good, or it's connected to memories that you've had with those that you've lost, and that those are
Absolutely.
really productive.
Yeah.
Well, those are some great, really good examples of just some things that hopefully for you listening out there can find the hobby, the way to connect with nature, to memories, to journaling, to talking about your loved ones. Sounds really important. Joe, what's a verse that you, in fact, I think you said from Isaiah that you said has really been a special verse for you?
Yes.
Would you read that for us?
Yes, I can. I always talk about the hope that we have of seeing our loved ones again, that just knowing that there's more, much more better things in store for us. And God just kept reminding me of the hope. And not for the future, but even just for today. So Isaiah 40, verse 31, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint.
So good.
So, right, even when I felt weary of the whole thing, or I felt like I just could not stand another day, just running to God and saying, I need your strength.
That's right.
I don't want to faint and feel weary. I want to survive this. And with His strength and hope.
You are and you will. Right, exactly.
Right.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, thanks for being here today, for sharing that. I think for all of you guys out there that are struggling with grief and loss, that it's painful and it's hard and there's good days and there's bad days, but here are just a couple of practical things that maybe that you could do to kind of move through grief in a healthy way.
Right.
And we hope that that's helpful to you. Use those questions, talk about it with someone in your life to help you process through and just to move in a healthy way through grief. And we'll see you in the next video.